Good day. Today we will discuss about the question concerning technology by Martin Heidegger. So Martin Heidegger, a 20th century German philosopher renowned for his work, The Question Concerning Technology, was a revised speech that he gave in 1950 during post-World War II in Bremen, Germany. So ngayon, simulan natin ang kanyang essay sa pagtatanong ng what is technology? So, when we think of technology today, iniisip natin agad yung mga bagay na ginagamit natin in our everyday lives. From fans, TVs, microwaves, air conditioners, iPhones, laptops, and many more. However, these examples merely represent technology. They don't tell us what technology is. More importantly, they don't tell what is meaningful about technology and its relation to human existence. So si Martin Heidegger, he delves into the philosophical meaning of technology. So yung its essence or what it is. He emphasized na yung essence of technology cannot be encapsulated by a mere enumeration of devices. So sinasabi ni Heidegger na yung technology's essence lies beyond its tangible manifestations and is not inherently technological itself. Instead, your essence has to do with our experience of it rather than trying to understand tools as neutral objects and their characteristics. So, to figure out the essence of technology, you have to get or to be philosophical. So, notably, Heidegger approach to his essay is philosophical. Kasi ayon sa kanya, we often miss the real meaning of things in everyday life, necessitating a recovery of their meaning. So he believes the best way to understand technology, its essence, or what it is by having a free relation to it. So this allows for a deeper engagement with the essence of technology. So consequently, by uncovering our experiences of our relation with technology, we gain insights into its fundamental nature. So, sinimula ni Heidegger sa dalawang common concepts ng technology. So, we have the technological and anthropological definition. So, the instrumental definition of technology states that technology is a means to an end. It refers to a means that we utilize for some specific purpose, like yung paggamit ng tools and machines designed for specific tasks. We utilize them as instruments to serve our needs and purposes. So yung second naman is yung anthropological definition of technology. So this refers to technology as a human activity. So we, tayong mga humans, use technology for our own purposes. We create the means and the ends. So technology itself is a contrivance or in Latin an instrumentum. Pero kay Heidegger, tinanong niya, what is the instrumental itself? Within what do such things as means and ends belong? So ina-argue ni Heidegger na while these two concepts are interconnected and true, nagpe-fail silang i-capture yung essence ng technology. According to him, these definitions overlook our personal experiences and relationships with technology, resulting in a superficial understanding of the subject. Ngayon, yes, technology is a means to an end and any human activity. Suppose technology were not just a means, how would it stand with regard to mastery? We won't find its essence by conceptual thinking, but rather by approaching it metaphysically. So si Heidegger, he moves away from the instrumental versus anthropological at mas nag-delve deeper siya sa philosophical side, so metaphysically, where there's an effect, there's a cause. So technology isn't just an instrument whenever instrumentalities reigns causality so effect may cause. So si Heidegger introduces Aristotle's metaphysics of causality, which the ancient Romans and the medieval philosophers also adopted. For Aristotle, everything comes into being through four causes. So he used the silver chalice as an example. So firstly, there's the causa materialis o yung material cause, the matter or material of which something is made. In this case, meron tayo, ito yung silver, yung material. Secondly, the causa formalis o yung formal cause, the form or structure in which it is shaped. In this case, the chalice curve. So, matter and form, yung kanina, and yung ngayon, cannot really be taught separately from each other. If you think of an object, it always has to have both matter and form. And so Heidegger states that they are indebted to each other. Thirdly naman, yung pangatlo is yung causa efficiens o yung efficient cause. So ito yung source of change that brings about what is made. So in this case, we have the silversmith. So last naman, yung pang-apat na cause is yung causa finalis o yung final cause. The reason and purpose for it is made. In Greek, this is called the telos. In this case, sa example natin, yung silver chalice, we have the sacrificial rite. Yun yung reason o yung purpose. So what is revealed is this silver chalice. So Heidegger asks, what do these four causes share? Well, they allow something to appear. They bring something into being through a process of revealing. So ngayon, Heidegger explains various ways in which things come into appearance or are revealed, drawing from ancient Greek philosophy, specifically using the terms physis, poiesis, and techne. So physis represents the natural emergence of something from within itself, like yung flower blossoming naturally. So it is derived from the Greek verb meaning to grow or to develop. So physis embodies the concept of nature and self-development. So next naman is poiesis. On the other hand, it denotes the process of bringing something into existence through human intervention. So it involves the creation of objects by individuals distinct from the natural unfolding of pieces. So yung term originates from the Greek word for to make, encompassing various forms of human creations. And last naman is yung techne, refers to a specific form of craftsmanship involving skills, activities, and knowledge employed by artisans to create physical objects. So si Heidegger, in-emphasize niya yung techne entails a deep understanding and expertise in a particular field, similar sa poiesis and physis, as it brings forth and reveals something or reveals objects. It is something poetic. Thus, all three processes reflect how things conceal or being revealed. Now, according to Heidegger, all three processes, physis, poiesis, and techne, offer insights into the truth of the world. Heidegger distinguishes between truth and correctness. So, arguing that correctness is overly simplistic, focusing solely on the accuracy of statements or propositions. He believes that your existence is far more complex than mere correctness or incorrectness. So si Heidegger, inintroduce niya yung ancient Greek term na aletheia to define truth as an act of revealing or unconcealment. So aletheia is derived from a river in Greek mythology which, when consumed, would erase memories, symbolizing concealment. The prefix a negates, so yung aletheia means unconcealing. So according to Heidegger, truth involves something or involves revealing something previously hidden, suggesting the existence of deeper layers yet to be disclosed. So yung concept na to resonates with the arts where artists reveal layers of meaning beyond the mere physical transformation of materials. So through this analysis, the silver chalice from the example reveals the unconcealed. We bring forth from nothing, revealing truth. We think of an idea and make it into something tangible. So unconcealment is equal to aletheia. So aletheia in Greek is equal to truth. So this is the model of truth that Heidegger describes when he says that technology comes to presence in the realm where revealing and unconcealment take place, where aletheia, truth happens, meaning technology is a mode of revealing something.
Okay, so next naman, diniscuss niya kung ano nga ba yung modern technology. So sinabi niya na modern technology reveals itself through its fundamental characteristics. Sinuggest niya na yung modern technology is unique in its revealing or unveiling of itself. Kasi unlike traditional craftsmanship, which involves creating things through a process of poetic creation or yung poiesis na sinasabi ni Kian kanina, modern technology operates differently daw. Parang china-challenge niya yung nature by demanding that it provide energy that can be extracted and stored for human use. So Heidegger contrasts this with the old windmill, which simply harnesses the wind's natural energy without altering it. Yung windmill doesn't force nature to provide energy in a specific way, unlike modern technology daw, which imposes its demands on nature. Next, dinescribe naman niya how land is being challenged to produce coal and ore, which changes the way we perceive and interact with it. Instead of seeing land as a place where crops are grown and tended to by farmers, it's now viewed as as a resource for extracting materials. So the peasants' traditional way of working the land, which involved caring for it and ensuring its fertility, contrasts with the modern approach of exploiting it for resources. So yung agriculture daw, sinabi niya, has transformed into a mechanized industry focused on maximizing production, and nature itself is being forced to yield specific materials like, for example, nitrogen from the air and uranium from the earth. So this transformation reflects a shift from working with nature to imposing human demands upon it, whether for destructive or productive purposes. Next, dinescribe naman niya how this relationship is characterized by a process he calls setting upon, which involves challenging nature's energies for human purposes. This challenging is aimed at two main goals: unlocking and exposing nature's resources. However, this process of expediting is not an end in itself. It's always directed towards furthering something else, typically maximizing productivity while minimizing cost. The main aim is to use them efficiently to get things done, like making factories run smoothly while spending as little as possible. So, for example, when a mine is cold, it's not just left laying around, it's stored and used later for heating and powering machines. This shows this shows how modern technology focuses on getting the most out of nature to achieve human goals with efficiency as a top priority. Next, diniscuss niya naman yung relationship between human intervention and natural resources, particularly focusing on the example of a hydroelectric plant built on the Rhine River. Dinescribe niya na kung paano yung plant harnesses the river's energy by directing its flow to generate hydraulic pressure, which in turn activates turbines to produce electricity. Yung electricity na to is then transmitted by a network of cables to a distant locations. So Heidegger contrasts this modern intervention with the more harmonious relationship between humans and nature seen in the past, such as the construction of a wooden bridge across the Rhine. So unlike the bridge, which was built in harmony with the river's flow, the hydroelectric plant essentially dominate or control the river to serve human purposes. He emphasizes the shift from viewing the Rhine River as a natural entity to seeing it into a mere resource manipulated for industrial and economic gain. Next, Heidegger explains how modern technology uses nature's resources for human needs through actions like changing, storing, and sharing energy. So these actions keep happening and affecting each other. He also points out that controlling and ensuring safety are crucial in how technology works, showing how much control we have over natural resources. So Heidegger talks about a new idea called standing reserve to describe how modern technology changes the way we see and use things. In this view, everything is set up to be ready for us to use whenever we need it. It's not just about having things in stock, it's about changing the very nature of those things so they're always available for human purposes. Ginamit ni Heidegger yung salitang standing reserve para mapakita kung paano yung modern technology turns everything into resources waiting to be used instead of independent objects. This means that things doesn't exist for their own sake anymore. They're all about serving human needs and wants. Heidegger explains using an airliner as an example, na instead of just seeing it as an object, we should understand its true purpose as transportation. Every part of the airliner is designed to be ready for use, especially for flying. He compares this to Hegel's idea that machines work independently. But for Heidegger, modern technology like an airliner exists solely to serve human needs. It loses its independence because it's only valuable when it's being used by humans. Heidegger says we often talk about how modern technology as something we simply control and use, like setting upon or ordering. But he believes that this language reveals a deeper truth. Technology isn't just a tool we command, but something that shapes reality. Tinanong niya, who's responsible for this shaping? He thinks it's humans, but not how we might think. While we create and use technology, hindi daw natin fully makontrol how it reveals reality. Kasi even smart people like Plato just responded to reality rather than making it manifest through technology. Heidegger says when humans use nature's resources, they start treating themselves like resources too. We see this in terms like human resources. This means na yung people are treated like objects for production and consumption. For example, a forester's job becomes solely about making money from cutting trees, losing the traditional connection to the land. But Heidegger believes humans are more than just parts of this system. They have something special, sabi niya. He thinks the world's workings, like things being revealed, aren't entirely controlled by humans. It's just how the world is. Next, Heidegger believes that whenever we interact with the world by looking at things, thinking about them, or working, we're experiencing reality revealing itself to us. This shapes how we understand and deal with the world. So, for example, when scientists study nature, they're responding to how reality presents itself, even if they see nature only as something to study. This blurs the line between us and the things we're observing. Heidegger says we're all affected by this way reality presents itself, whether we notice it or not. Heidegger talks about something called Gestalt, which he translates as enframing. It's a bit of an unusual term, but he uses it to describe this powerful force or challenge that drives humans to shape the world in a particular way. This force gathers people together and pushes them to organize reality as things to be used like resources. Heidegger compares this concept to other fundamental gatherings like mountain chains or human dispositions to show how deeply ingrained it is in our way of interacting with the world. Next, Heidegger explains enframing as how modern technology encouraged humans to view reality as something to be used like resources. It's not a physical object like gadgets, instead, it's a core aspect of modern technology. Enframing influences how we perceive and structure reality when we use technology. Heidegger talks about the challenge of understanding nature's energy in our technology driven world, where we focus on nature as a primary energy source. He highlights the role of modern physics, which sees nature as measurable forces governed by math. This perspective shapes how we interact with nature. Heidegger suggests that modern physics not only observes, but also shapes nature to fit mathematical models, influencing our efforts to understand and control it through science and technology. He also discusses how modern physics laid the groundwork for technology's essence, focusing on understanding natural forces. He argues that technology's true nature is often hidden beneath its flashy inventions, requiring a deeper understanding of its underlying processes. Heidegger believes that understanding often unfolds over time, with ancient ideas gaining significance later on. He encourages exploring old ideas not to revive them, but to gain deeper insights similar to understanding a tree's growth by examining its roots. He introduces the concept of standing that gathers, which shapes history with a sense of purpose or destiny.
So now, let's move on to the consequence of technology. Since alam naman natin na technology has had a profound impact on who we are as humans. So paano nga ba tayo binago? Next slide, please. So first, technology altered our relationship with freedom. So while technology can give us new freedoms, it can also restrict us in new ways. It's important to distinguish that this freedom, itong sinasabi ko, is not about freedom from the law or freedom to submit to the law. So this is the capacity that brings things into being and not make an idea totally apparent. Kasi sabi ni Heidegger na there will be this unknown or there's a veil, as he call it, between the idea of the object and the object itself that us humans brought forth. So kahit parang sabihin natin na na-reveal itong concealed idea, it's never going to appear as it's supposed to be. So freedom is demonstrated by the human capacity of listening and hearing. Kasi we don't tell the object what it is, and we have to acknowledge na meron siyang sariling autonomy. Unlike yung kanina nga sa inframing. So ang key point nito is, yung true freedom, it comes from understanding how things are really to us. Okay, so let's move forward naman sa dangers and the risk ng technology. So in the case of modern technology, there are things brought forth to be standing reserve. So yun yung kanina sabi na, kunwari, in-extract yung mine, tapos hindi naman siya agad gagamitin. That's called standing reserve. So yun yung kagaya na sinabi ni Ina. So these standing reserves, the humans treat this as parang less than objects na siya, which is somewhat dehumanizing. So this leads to a dehumanizing view of the world where everything will be seen as a resource. Kaya naman, even us as humans, this poses a risk na us humans may become objects to other humans then. We may become standing reserve to others. So kunwari, di ba, sabi sa atin, tayo raw ang highest form of being. And some might see this na, or might see themselves na super superior sila, that they already see everything as a resource. So that is really bad because this is the opposite of what I just said. Na hindi na nila pina-practice yung respect or yung respect dun sa autonomy ng object, and they lost the capacity to listen. So sabi niya, the essence of technology lies in inframing. Bakit? Inframing is the way modern technology reveals the world or as a collection of resources to be used and controlled. So, yes, paulit-ulit na, we can bring forth ideas. So, yay, creation. However, in framing or ordering, this is not very yay because we do not respect the object's autonomy. Or basically, this is bringing forth something, but for the sake of domination. So, it highlights the connection between the old and modern technology. So, kanina pa natin in-embrace yung negative side of technology, which is again, framing. But even with this, there is a potential for something amazing. So, this amazing thing is called saving power. So, this brings me to the mystery of technology. Present in both old and modern technology is saving power. Ito yung, okay, so sabi ni Heidegger na, when we look into this ambiguous essence of technology, we behold the constellation, the stellar course of mystery. So, ayan, itong mystery na to, this mysterious element, yun yung saving power. It is bounded in part by the impossibility of ever realizing the idea. So, ang ibig sabihin natin na, we're partly bounded by this unknown. Kasi nga, di ba, sinasabi na distant or never magiging exact yung idea natin dun sa product or yung mismong mabugrowth na dadala natin dito sa mundo. Which is kind of annoying, pero medyo interesting din. So, they're bonded by this essence na may inframing, and it has its consequences, of course. But what's good about it is that we can undo those negative sides. This just requires reflection. So here's my personal note on this. I really agree kasi I think we should see technology as a platform na like it can hold different things. Things that may harm us, yes, pwede yun. Hindi yun may iwasan. But the good news is, we can also put good in it. So this is the essence and beauty of technology. It has this mystery. One side submits the world to imperial authority, but the other motivates creation. So all we have to do now is to ensure that inframing does not go too far, or this mystery will be purged. In the end, Heidegger warns that technologies and framing can distinguish the world's inherent mystery. So we should always question technology, if it's retaining the mystery or putting the mystery to That ends our presentation. Thank you so much for listening.